Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market and figure out what is happening today and what we can expect moving forward. So with all that being said and done, let's get into it. Tesla closing the day up a solid 3.33%, which is going to be putting us at about 177.5 per share. Which compared to the market is going to be a nice outperformance once again on the day today like we had yesterday, which is always a good thing to see. PPI came in actually hotter than expected and the market just ran off of it. Tomorrow we have CPI coming in, I believe in the morning as well, 8:30 a.m. So we'll see how that market reacts to that. I do have a theory personally. I'll explain what I think is going to happen. Obviously, it's a guess. Nobody knows. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I'll give you at least what I personally believe is going to happen to Tesla and really the market as a whole. And then from there, we'll kind of move forward. So all that being said, let's just dive into Tesla's chart first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the indices, which kind of correlates with Tesla. So, Tesla did officially break out of this bull flag, right? So let's talk about this, a situation here first very quickly here. So we did break out of this bull flag, right? We were talking about this, little situation that were happening here. We had a bull flag being set up, and today we did officially gap up, break out below it, and it's looking pretty good, right? Now, personally, what I want to see is one of two things. So, okay, before I get into that, let's talk about the resistance. So we came up pretty much almost to 180. We actually came up to about 179 and a half roughly, right? And we did get rejected by that. And we are closing at a pretty important area. So for instance, if I zoom out right here, you can take a look at, exactly where we close, right? This level, I'm actually going to remove this one here. I don't really care about this anymore, right? We closed at a pretty important area because you can see this area the candle kind of came up to, but then also did leave a wick up above us, which obviously shows some selling pressure. Is at a pretty crucial area where you can see back here, same idea happened, right? This area that we did sort of wick into and get some selling pressure was an actual area of, support before. And then we broke down below it. And then this area once again acted as a resistance and then acted as support here. And now it's once again acting as a resistance. So, this 180-ish, give or take $3. So 177 to 183, something around that range is a pretty massive area of supply and demand, right? In this case, of course, that is going to be supply, right? As we come back into it now, since we're coming from below up into it, it is, of course, acting as, a supply and or a resistance, really. So that's important to note. Now, I do think we'll break it. I actually do think we'll break it. I think it'll take a little bit longer, not too much longer. I think at most a week, personally. I think sometime next week is what I personally project right now. Maybe by Friday, but I think sometime next week is when we will break it, and then we will re-enter back into the 180s. That's my current projection. Obviously, that can change, and I'll update you guys if it does. But as it stands right now, I think that's what's going to happen. Why? Well, pretty simply because, we broke out of this bull flag. What I want to see next is I want to see essentially a retest of this bull flag breakout sometime this week, honestly. I want to see a retest of this breakout of this bull flag sometime this week. Could be tomorrow, could be Thursday, could be Friday, but I personally expect it to be sometime this week. Where is that going to take us? Well, if we do get a retest of this bull flag, I expect us to come down again sometime this week, pretty much back down to about 172 to 170, somewhere around that range, but ideally closer to 172. And the main reason for that is, again, a retest of the bull flag. It kind of cools off this 2-day rally, right? A Tesla, which I'll show very soon, is a little bit overbought on the shorter time frames, which is why I expect that potential cool off, if you will, to be short-lived. Again, just only a couple of days, right? Maybe tomorrow, Thursday, maybe Friday, somewhere around there, sometime this week. Which is why I personally think that, that's kind of what's going to happen, which I'll go over why and show you the reasoning more obviously soon enough. But on top of that, we also have this volume profile, right? We talked about this many times, but this volume profile is still here. And what I want to see now is, we acted as a support before, then it kind of acted as a bit of resistance the past 2 days, right? Not including today. But now I kind of wanted to come back to it. And I want to turn this back into support. The ideal scenario is we come back to this volume profile. We really, truly turn this back into a support like this. It really gets it confirmed as a support. And then we bounce off of it. That to me is the clear, concise, sort of just healthy movement. That is what I personally would like to see. Whether or not we'll actually see it, nobody knows. But that's what I like to see. The MACD, you can see, barely, held up on the daily today, right, without flipping into the bearish territory, which is, nice to see it. It's pretty close, but holding up pretty well. RSI is potentially at a resistance area here with this yellow line kind of being that average, if you will. So we'll see how that actually acts. I don't put too much weight into that personally. Stochastic, you can see how we talked about yesterday, did overall reset. It's kind of starting to curl a little bit, so that's a good sign as well. So overall, in my opinion, Tesla with this bull flag breakout is still looking overall bullish. I think leading into the second half of this month and especially into June. Really just depends on how fast we end up overall moving, which again, I'll update you guys as I see it. But that's kind of the daily picture, if you will, right? Massive resistance, pretty much right around that 180, give or take a few dollars, of course. And then, of course, we have in theory, what should be a very nice area of support right down back at the 172 level for a retest of the bull flag, retest of this volume profile, point of control area, right, the POC, and of course the gap fill over here at pretty much 172, which is yesterday's close, of course, right? Keep in mind also, we did actually come up and gap fill this gap that we have right here, that was at, what is this, about almost 178, and we did actually close just ever so slightly below it. So it is acting as a bit of resistance. I wouldn't say it's a major resistance because we closed so damn close to it, but you know, nonetheless, that is technically still acting as a small resistance. So we'll see how that plays out, similar to how this gap fill down here acted as a support. Now let's go over into the smaller time frames, the 1 hour time frame, right? Let's talk about this. Let's bring up my favorite indicator, right? The regression bands, and let's talk about what we see here. So you can see, right, we are overbought. We are simply, just plain and simply overbought. Now the thing with being overbought is that there's two ways that this can play out, right? One way is we pretty much just correct right down to this median line, the mean line, if you will, the average line, which is the white line down here, soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, right? That's kind of that thing I was talking about not too long ago, right? Same thing on the 2 hour, you can see overbought territory, right? And it's sitting somewhere around the 173. So maybe we just come down to 173 and that's about it, over the next day or two, maybe even tomorrow after CPI. But ultimately it gives the stock a bit of a reset, kind of cools it off, gets it away from overbought territories, because usually when it enters overbought territories, it does end up correcting back to that middle range, if you will. Sooner than later, especially on the 1 hour chart. It doesn't take too long, right? Just keep that in mind. That's pretty important to understand, right? We are pretty overbought. And this morning on that initial gap up, we were extremely overbought, which we did sort of cool off from that already, right? And now we're continuing to cool off. But that's option one. Option two to cool off this is without actually moving downwards, we just go sideways. We literally just go sideways. We pretty much dance around this 175 to maybe like 178-ish level for the next couple days, honestly, right? We dance around these levels for a couple days as this indicator catches up to us. And that essentially also resets the stock on this shorter 1 hour time frame. One of those two is what I'm personally expecting moving forward, right? On top of that, if you go over to the SPY and QQQ here very quickly, you can see, I mean, it is potentially setting up a double top here. I don't know if it actually will be. We'll see. I personally, this is what I think will happen, right? QQQ and SPY are both pretty much entering, or are rather in on the daily chart more nonetheless, right? Overbought territories. We are in overbought territories at a pretty damn overbought territories, right? That second yellow line on the SPY here and pretty much QQQ, right? So that's getting into like pretty, powerful overbought levels. Like we're quite overbought here. So with CPI out tomorrow, what I wouldn't be surprised is if the market does cool off. If the market does cool off, it comes back down, maybe to about, for instance, on QQQ, maybe it comes back down to somewhere around, 440, maybe high 430s, kind of cools off. This volume profile as this plays catch up to kind of revert the stock, or I guess, QQQ back to the mean, if you will, kind of resets it from being this overbought. Same as SPY, same idea, right? Comes back down a few levels here, not too much, but, maybe 515, right? Maybe something around that is what I would personally expect right now, right? And that would also kind of line up with my current expectation of Tesla to also kind of get a 1 or 2 day cool off. Beautiful rallies the last 2 days, a little bit of a cool off, retest these levels, return them back into nice supports, get a nice kind of bullish formation going. It's a healthy movement, and then from there we move back upwards. And I think next week we should really start looking for that 180 break, which is what I personally expect right now. And I think will happen. I really do. I actually think it'll happen. Obviously, if things change, I'll let you know. But that's kind of my overall projection moving forward, right? We have the 5 and the 13 moving, or EMAs rather, still looking pretty decent. It actually barely crossed down below not too long ago, but it crossed back up to bullish here again. So that's why you want to take these with a grain of salt. They're not perfect, but that's something important to understand as well. So that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at. Let's take a quick look at the 100-day moving average, right? It is sitting pretty much right above us at about $191 per share. And then, of course, we also have the 50-day moving average, which is now sitting below us at around 171 per share. So support down here, resistance up here. And then, of course, we also have that 21 EMA, which is also just ever so slightly below us, which is sitting somewhere around that 173 level, which lines up pretty well with the retest of this point of control volume profile, a retest of this bull flag breakouts, sometime in the next day or two, like I said, right? And then from there, I think we turn these bad boys pretty much into a support. I think we base off of that, and I think we move up higher next week. That's my current projection. And I think CPI can be that catalyst that kind of pulls the market back down. Everyone is going to start screaming bearish things. The bears are going to start bringing out their, bearish takes, and everyone's going to think the market is going to, crash, and it's going to be, even worse, and it's all over. The market is, the top is in, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone's going to be saying that, I promise. At least I think so. Pretty much tomorrow and Thursday, as the market does correct a little bit, right? Not a major correction, just a very, very small correction, like a couple day correction or so. And then it just continues ripping higher. That's kind of what I expect. That's what I think will mess up the most people personally. So we'll see if that actually plays out, or maybe we just top here and the market actually does fully correct. That is a possibility too. So either way, at the very least, I do expect us at the somewhere around these levels, including Tesla, including the market, to kind of cool off, relax, have a couple day correction, reset it a little bit, reset the momentum a little bit, and then if there is more bullish momentum, I think it'll follow pretty nicely after this very small mini correction. But that's kind of what I'm seeing, right? I mean, back when we were trading on these levels over here, people were telling me that Tesla's going to go below like 170, below 160s, etc. Right? People were bearish on Tesla, which I didn't really understand why. I mean, yeah, the candle was kind of bearish. The weekly candle, I guess, wasn't the best looking weekly candle, but if there was a level to bounce with that 0.5 Fibonacci and this gap fill, this was it, right? Especially if you looked at this bull flag. So if people were bearish when they shouldn't be, and now I think people are going to be probably pretty bullish here. People, I think, are going to be screaming in the comments, especially for Tesla to go up to like 185 by tomorrow. I personally don't think it will. We'll see. I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm not going to be right all the time. But again, that's my current projection. Small little correction back down to about the 172, 173 level, and then we rally up from there. But all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Options flow today, pretty bullish actually. Options flow today, and especially in the morning, very bullish options flow in the morning. Assuming most of them got closed, because I don't see Tesla anywhere here on the bullish flow. So I'm assuming a lot of them got closed. But a lot of bullish flow came in on Tesla today, right? We had a couple $1 million orders that were calls as well. I'm trying to find one decent example here. Let me see if I can quickly spot one out. I mean, before the close, some calls came in on Tesla as well, but they're far out. Most of them are September 20th, right? So 290, 290, 290. They had a 600K call come in above the ask right before Tesla closed for 517, which is this Friday. But again, take those with a grain of salt. Just before the close yesterday, we had about $1 million of puts come in for this Friday on Tesla. Clearly they were wrong. So that's why you always want to take these with a grain of salt. It's like, yes, there is someone doing this, but doesn't mean they're right? Just like as the $1 million puts yesterday, well, they were wrong on the weeklies, right? Tesla did not move downwards. So anyway, that's kind of all I got to say for now. So let me know what you think down below. Ladies and gentlemen, here's that 1.37 million I was looking for, a call for 210 call for June 21st. That's pretty bullish, actually. That's pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. And it was above the ask. So clearly this whale is bullish moving in to potentially the rest of this month and into next month. As am I. I just expect a bit of a 1 to 2 day correction. I think CPI will correct us a little bit. People are going to start getting very bearish, and then the market just rips higher. That's what I expect, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.